The Copa America is just about to get underway. The game you've seen previously with Ecuador thrashing Venezuela took place yesterday. You're watching live pictures now from a somewhat less distinguished stadium, Ambato, with 22,000 people here, which is half of the crowd that saw the game in the stadium in Quito and saw these 7 goals being scored, with the host nation Ecuador winning by 6 goals to 1. Tonight, the Copa America is revealing its new face, if you like, with the United States of America, the new team of the competition reshaped with Mexico in it as well for the first time, and the United States playing tonight a nation that has won this tournament no less than 13 times, Uruguay. Uruguay, one of the great global forces in football, or at least they were. There's a doubt about whether they're now a diminishing power, but we might get a little indication of that tonight. We've just come over to this game just before the kickoff, so let me run through the teams. I can tell you, by the way, that there is no Wegerle or Harkes or Dooley, some of the names that have almost become like household names because of their performances in the United States recently in the tournament there, and also against England in that now rather famous win. Well, they're not playing. The full team tonight is Friedel, Lapper and Koeman, Woodring, Tab Ramos and Harbour. Tab Ramos and Woodring, the aforementioned players coming from Europe, the only European players there. Kobe Jones, Armstrong, Caligiuri, Clavijo and Lalas. The Uruguayans fielding a very strong team indeed, with, of course, the exception of 3 very prominent players. That is Jose Herrera, Enzo Francescoli and Ruben Sosa. Francescoli and Sosa are with the squad, but the Italian clubs, Cagliari and Inter, have told them, we want you to have a holiday rather than play in this tournament. It's all a bit confusing, with the coach, Luis Cubilla, having written to the both clubs and to the Italian Federation and FIFA to try and get the release for this tournament. But there's still some doubt as to whether they'll play in the later games. Their full team tonight: Siboldi, Sanchez, Canapkes, Sanguinetti, Ostalozza, De Los Santos, Paletti, Moran, Saralegui, Paz and Da Silva. And there might be a typical game tonight with the United States of America intent on that strong running game of theirs, very athletic, very fit, and not at all surprising given that the entire American squad have got together in that training camp of theirs in California, preparing, of course, for the World Cup. So we shall see how they approach this match tonight and what kind of spirit, given the very good publicity they got very recently for the performances in the United States. That was touched on very neatly by Tab Ramos. Uruguay, as I've said, a very prominent team, having won this competition 13 times. Of late, perhaps not as prominent as they used to be, but still producing great players. And really, it is quite astonishing for such a small country, only 3 million of a population, and 740 professional players. Yet they won the World Cup twice. They won this tournament, as I said, 13 times. Won the Olympic tournament twice. And their clubs have won, of course, the Copa Libertadores. The 2 clubs, the 2 most prominent clubs, of course, were Nacional and Peñarol. And between them, they've won no less, from the city of Montevideo, 88 championships. So it is a tiny, compressed society there, but capable potentially of producing great club and international teams. On that far side, trying to get away, Tab Ramos twice and tackled very heftily. In fact, down there is Kobe Jones. Now, I wonder if you recollect the football from the Olympic Games, because Kobe Jones turned out to be one of the stars there. Really was an effervescent, sparkling kind of player. Got in neatly by Paletti, looking for a 1-2. Referee, by the way, is Alberto Tejada from Peru, 37 years of age. And he might feel it a little bit tonight. He comes from Lina, which is at sea level. And tonight in this game, the players are at 6,000 feet. That's the altitude, and I think it'll tell in 1 or 2 of the players. Caliguri trying to put that through, and goal kick. Well, we saw an excellent start by the host nation earlier on, Ecuador meaning business. Very difficult to make any final assessment of them, given they were playing against rather puerile opposition. This will give us an idea tonight of just how serious Uruguay are in trying to win this trophy for the 14th time. Sanguinetti. Ooh, the goalkeeper hesitating, Frido. Really almost caught in no man's land there. Or just getting away, Sanguinetti, from these two players, and fouled eventually by Armstrong. Armstrong very heavy-handed going in there. Desmond Armstrong, 29 years of age, 4 years in this national squad. And facing immediately up there is Woodring. Woodring, the player from the Bundesliga. Well, he belongs to a club in the Bundesliga, perhaps playing for one of the lower teams with Hamburg. Free kick, and it'll be taken by the man who shaped it, Sanguinetti. And that goes for a corner. Very good crowd in here tonight. When you look back over the years of the Copa América, unless the host nation is involved, then they go to the provinces. They normally get a small crowd, but it's turned out in goodly numbers tonight. This time it is a corner kick that went out just by the corner flag previously. And Friedel in goal was looking extremely nervous. Put in there by Saralwegi. Well, that's one way to cure the nerves, isn't it? Get into the action right away. Da Silva almost putting Uruguay in the lead. Well, that's a very good save. And already in this tournament, we've seen some acrobatic saves by goalkeepers. A touch of the flamboyance about the South Americans, but here's a North American simulating that. Up he goes again. Out come the entire American side, but he can't get it. I think he was going to be played onside there. Over to take this. Caliguri. You'll probably recognize one or two of the players from having watched the tournament in the States recently. For example, watch Alexi Lalas with the red beard. Scored with a header, of course, against England. Pushed in the general direction of Lalas. And the Uruguayans beginning to become a composed-looking side. This man you've seen a lot of already, Sanguinetti. That was Lalas whipping that away. Well, I did mention at the start the Americans have a reputation for being very fit, but I also have to say that they're coming straight to this altitude, and they may find it very difficult indeed, coming from the likes of playing in Boston and Detroit. And this is a real test for the preparations being built up by Bora Milutinovic, their Yugoslavian or ex-Yugoslavian coach. He is a Serb, but he says he doesn't really describe himself as such, doesn't want a political tag. He's just a level of football. Milutinovic, I wouldn't say he was famed for having plotted the downfall of Scotland, but it certainly produced an embarrassing moment for that footballing nation. when he coached Costa Rica. Moran. And they have a free man at the back, and Sanguinetti, as you've already seen, getting a lot of service on the right. Neatly laid off there by Pelletti. Sanguinetti, and I think it's just gone out. Just get the impression from the earlier stages of this game that the Americans are trying to find their feet and acclimatize themselves to this rather different atmosphere. And breaking away there, Paz rather spoiled it. Pitch not in as ideal a situation as that stadium in Quito we watched earlier. It's actually quite ribbed in places, so they find it difficult to get it worked out perfectly. On this side, Caligiuri. That's the man I was talking about with the red beard. Looks more like a college professor than he does professional footballer. On the ball now. And I think offside. Yes, indeed, offside against Harbour. Gene Harbour from Tampa Bay. Sanguinetti putting across to De Los Santos. De Los Santos on the halfway line. Little run forward there, and the goalkeeper quite alive to that situation. That's a little short of the profile of Milutinovic. Game going into a rather sedate phase at the moment. As if both sides are having a good, long, hard look at each other. This is Lapper. And you can see, I think you were able to see just how thick that grass is in certain areas. Wrestling away in a far side. Ostalosa had gone right across. It's going to be a United States ball, though. A little bit of a rebound coming back. And the goalkeeper again seeing that coming from way back. Out to Lapper. Well, there's not much pattern to this game yet. Americans are, I think, relying probably more on the long ball. And Uruguay trying to build it up slowly from the back, more methodically. And that's seen high by number 11, Paz. It's going to be taken, though, by Sanguinetti. A neat play there by Kanapkis, trying to go through on the left. And brought down by Ostalosa. Well played by Lapper, taking that well. Looking for support. Run forward again as Lalas picked it up and gets the free kick out of it. Gone that first 15 minutes and still no scoring. A much more cautious game than the first one we saw. That's Lapper. On that far side, going after it was Armstrong, and it doesn't quite come off. At least he gets the corner kick out of it. Right in the middle of the penalty area there, De Silva, who's come right back. Up goes the goalkeeper, Siboldi. Siboldi played his original football in Argentina. Followed Alves, by the way, in goal, the very famous goalkeeper. Now plays his football in Mexico. And many of these players, of course, realizing they're playing for their place perhaps in the World Cup, not through the qualification in this tournament, but simply trying to attract the eye of coach Luis Cabilla. I hope we get a good look at Luis Cabilla. He's a very heavy man indeed. Flanked back there by Woodring. And a very untidy and scrappy game so far. Ready to take that, De Los Santos. Neat work inside by Moran, and I think there might be a free kick out of that. No. Peruvian referee waving play on. Not so much the heat tonight, but of the late afternoon, but more the altitude that they're playing at. It could quickly sap those people not properly acclimatized to it. That's why the host nation will be at a great advantage playing in Quito, which is just about the same altitude as this. One night to see a little bit of individual skill like that. Paletti. The Uruguayans playing in little spurts. That's a lovely little ball back to Paz, who tried to go through on the outside. And a little burst of excitement there from the Uruguayans. Suddenly accelerated. The pace was so monotonous up to then. Taken by Sanguinetti. Going a begging. Touched away by Woodring, who's in there. Another glorious save. And I think he must be extremely disappointed with that. Knocked back out and falls out to De Los Santos. And there was a bit of curl in that, and twice already in the game, he's shown how athletic a goalkeeper he can be. He certainly favors the punch, but gets away with it that time. So clearly Uruguay with a little bit edge in this game, certainly more of it than the United States of America, who really have produced nothing so far. That's Lapper, as I said, favoring this long east ball forward. Maybe not such a stupid idea given the conditions that to play in. This is Kobe Jones. I said he was a useful player. Little fellow who was a star of the Olympics with that distinctive hairstyle. Coming back very deep, Tab Ramos. player from Betis Seville. And Siboldi getting there first, looking into the sun, but very confident the way he came forward. Well, both sets of defenses have been rather more assured than some of the play in midfield, where a lot of it's been erratic. Sanguinetti. Good run forward there by Moran. He did that very well, Moran, from Deportivo. One of the Argentinian-based players. And a very experienced one, 31 he is. This is Sanguinetti from Gimnasia Grima in Argentina again. And you can see these ribs running diagonally right across the pitch. And that in its own right is going to be very sapping for these legs, even before the first half is out. We're shouting to Lalas there to hold on to that. Shouting from the bench. Touched away by Koeman. Caligiuri got it through. Now they're trying to string some passes together. Look for a 1-2, but sweeping up at the back there. Doing very well, Kanapkis. Played forward by Ostalosa. Well, I think he played for that. I do think that Alexi Lalas realized that. But down went Moran. And it goes to Sanguinetti. And those Sanguinetti's normally been picking them up. If they played them right across like that, over he came. But he's been doing most of his work deeper towards the halfway line. With the ball, Caligiuri. A little bit careless with that. And I think offside. Trying to beat the American defensive trap. Caligiuri. Touch forward there by Ostalosa. Well, this goalkeeper is very alert indeed, Friedel. Well, they're beginning to get as many balls as they can right across the American defense, stretching them a bit, as you could see there. And Brad Friedel in goal has been a very busy man indeed. Well, there by Lalas, coming back in defense. Ooh, that was wild, surely free kick. Kobe Jones going down again. Interesting little player, buzzes about the park, very busy man, and I think he could be very, very useful if he gets ammunition nearer the penalty area. He's lying far too deep at the moment. Played to Caligiuri. Woodring trying to go through. This is the lad who's playing with Hamburg. He's with the Bundesliga team. I think he's playing further down in one of the amateur sides. But all of them candidates for the World Cup finals, of course. Right behind that, Ostalosa. Well, the American coach, Bora Milutinovic, has said some interesting things about this tournament. He recalls the time when they were playing, when he was coaching Mexico, and they beat Germany just before the World Cup at a friendly. And when Mexico played the Germans in the World Cup itself, everybody expected a good performance, and of course the Germans went on and beat them. So he's a little bit canny about building up expectations with his young and, I should imagine, accurately described as unsophisticated team. So he's taking a cautious attitude towards this tournament, not expecting too much, and certainly not building up the hopes of those people who think the Americans are lifting up to a much more acceptable plateau of performance. Sanguinetti will take this. Guillermo Sanguinetti from the Argentine League, the great rival nation, and yet so many of the Uruguayan players have got to play there. Commercial reasons. Lovely little piece of play. I think he was appealing for a free kick. He's not going to get that. And so De Silva just comes away from that with a sore head. Marcu, there was just a little hint of a traditional Uruguayan skill there. And now the play slows down again. Americans quite content to pass it around like this and try the long ball forward. A real powerful push by Harbour, looking for Kobe Jones inside him. While Milutinovic likes to take raw material, as he's done in coaching Mexico and in the Caribbean with various sides, and mold them together, calls that the special challenge, and he's had remarkable success in that regard, and now perhaps the greatest challenge of all, taking on the host nation for the World Cup itself. And I think there might just have been a little push there on Clavijo. To get the free kick out of it. Well, I think you've seen enough evidence to realize that what the Americans will not be inhibited about is going at the Uruguayans, and they certainly can compete in terms of physique, stamina, running, and they're making it awkward for them. Moran. Little dive in the air there by Paletti, but I think he gets a free kick out of it. Some of these boots sinking into the grass there. Look at it. Sanguinetti. Little bit of a deflection, and ooh. I did say earlier on that the goalkeeper, Brad Friedel, preferred to punch balls out. And he said 2 marvelous touches over the crossbar, but which to me is, it might be a little bit suspect for a straightforward high ball in the air. And I'm sure the catchers in the National Football League, that other code, would not be at all happy about an American not being able to field the ball like that. Sanguinetti. Still no scoring. We're just coming up to the first half hour played, and certainly less distinguished. I think that's got to be a yellow card. It is indeed, and I think it's going to be for Koeman. Koeman gets a yellow card. Well, they had 5 of them and a red card in the first game. This has been, by comparison, remarkably sanguine. Indeed, to be honest, much tamer than the first match. But we have certainly seen a lot of Guillermo Sanguinetti on this side. Sanguinetti will be 27 in exactly a week's time. One forward there on the far side by Tad Ramos. That verifies that booking by Koeman. Still no scoring, and the Uruguayans have had a couple of chances at goal. Made a very good goalkeeper in terms of the kind of saves that he's made. But most of the play centered in midfield. And the Uruguayans, I think, a little bit puzzled about how to break down what is a very strong-looking defense. They really go at it, quite combative. And there we are, 15 minutes remaining of this first half. Bouncing up and down, Brad Friedel will go. This is going to be taken by Moran. Falling loose, can he touch it back? He does. Inside there is Kanapkis. And now the break. Kobe Jones inside. Looked out neatly. Woodring. Well, that was lack of control. Basic control let him down there. Could have gone on down the left. Well, that comes from another code altogether. Much wasted free kick all the same. Played forward there by Caliguri. He's been working very well on the left. And the boot blows, very powerful tackle by Ostaloza. Santiago Ostaloza from Querétaro in Mexico. That's the club he plays for there. Viewers may remember Querétaro as one of the hottest places in Mexico during the last World Cup. Played there, where West Germany and Scotland, I think England also played. And Ostaloza, a tough customer altogether. He was a man who scored for Nacional against PSV in the World Club Final. There he is there to take the championship back to Montevideo. And he almost got a boot to take back with him there. That's nicely inclined. Goalkeepers hate to see a free kick curving away from them. And the pity is not an American boot near that. A very good free kick indeed. And the upshot, still no goals. And now picked up deep by Tab Ramos. Player from Betis Seville. Harbour. Looking for a little 1-2. Oh, deliberate handling, surely. Well, I think it's been given, yep. Well, there might have been a delay, but it certainly was hands as far as I was concerned. There we are. Loud appeal there by Alexi Lalas. Now, this could be interesting. If this were given at the other end, I think I would fancy Uruguay's chances of scoring, because they have some deadly men from a situation like this. Not quite sure about the Americans. Facing up to that is Tab Ramos, the player from the Spanish League. he's been given a release because Betis are in a safe position now in the Spanish Championship. And the goalkeeper might be slightly bothered by the sun here. Beside him is that hard-working left back. He's got number 20. He's been walking down the left. Caligiuri and Ramos. Kobe Jones in the defensive wall. And it might be America's first real solid chance. Ramos doesn't work out. Caligiuri. A very disappointing end to that. He'd obviously worked something out in the practice pitch and fluffed it. Good run by Ramos, coming more and more into the game. Really 5'9", well-built, sturdy player. And he'll know how to mix it coming from Spanish football. In go the bigger man. Federico is up as well. And pushed away by De Los Santos. Indeed, pushed away almost anywhere. Just a little touch of panic there. Now the Uruguayans, of course, are noted for the way they can defend very astutely and break brilliantly. But then, of course, they do not have the likes of a Francescoli or a Herrera or a Souza, who are the arch exponents of the counter-attack football. Paz. Good overlap by Kanapkis. Hooked away though by Lalas. Now the pressure on, maybe stung into this retaliation. They've done nothing in the past 10 minutes or so. Touched forward there by Paletti, and I think offside. Well, by my watch, about 9 minutes, or maybe some stoppage time. 9 minutes to the half-time whistle. Caligiuri, and you can hear the loud shouts from the American bench. Go, go, go. Not a little action out there. Easier said than done. Well, Lalas didn't like that tackle. Looked round at the referee, who just ignored him. That looked deliberate, hands, and that will be a booking. That's rather stupid there. Well, I think he was appealing that he'd actually been pushed, but that is not the case. Kanapkis gets a yellow card. So one from each side, Koeman and Kanapkis. The rules of this competition exactly similar to the European Championship and the World Cup. There's a neat little ball there. What's the final pass like? Jones is up. Headed away by Ostalozza. Well, that was a fair burst of activity. Now I'm talking about the Uruguayan counter-attack. Is this going to be it? Oh, the goalkeeper does very well. He just touched that away. Then whipped away by Clavigo. The danger still on. And there's brilliantly saved. And Da Silva simply cannot understand why that didn't go into the net. Now this goalkeeper is especially good at the reflexive save. Watch it again coming up here. That's a shot. He was going one way, the arm, and the ball was going the other. And he just got away with that. That's where you think he might just be a little suspect, that high lob ball into goal when he's got a little time to think about it. There's a marked difference in the quality of goalkeeping between those who can't think about it and do it brilliantly, instinctively, as I think he is, and those who make a terrible mess of it when they've time to do so. Oh, but the Americans come back and get that corner kick. Well, the last 5 minutes has certainly bust into activity. Watch this one again. That might go down as one of the saves of the tournament. I make it just over 5 minutes remaining. 5 minutes to the halftime whistle. Dreadful. And is it going in? No. And I think there may have been a push. I think the goalkeeper, Siboldi, was impeded. Certainly Lapper wasn't messing about there. And he went, yes, and pushed out. And the referee right on the spot. Well, the last 5 minutes have been worth the rest of the whole of the first half put together. Sanguinetti. I hope this augurs well for the second 45 minutes. But as a sad sight, the sight of Armstrong going off. Desmond Armstrong, 29-year-old defender, just being helped round. He was injured as we were watching that replay of that very fine save. He was being tended to and then taken off the pitch. Appealing for deliberate hands, but I think the referee has given that for offside. Well, we're going to have a substitution. It is a great pity that Armstrong went off, because there's no doubt about it, he's a useful worker for this team. Vastly experienced player. Sanguinetti. Picked up by Woodring. Arpaletti trying to go through. And that's a much easier one for the goalkeeper. Well, Murray, who's a frequent goal scorer, is now on for the Americans. Comes from the Washington Stars. Indeed, Murray scored the last time that these two teams met. Would you believe the Americans won in Denver, the Mile High City, 1-0. Picked up on that far side. De Los Santos had come back for it. Just before halftime. And no power behind that. Ball seemed to die on him. Oh, yeah. I think Woodring really took his eye off that. I thought he had it under control and it slid away from him. I'm sure Siboldi there from the Atlas team in Mexico will be quite praiseworthy of the goalkeeper at the other end. Breeze carrying that all the way through. Plenty of time for Sanchez to turn on this. And I think they might be happy, both teams, to get in at halftime, have a little chat about how to play against each other, solve the mystery of how to break down defenses, which so far have been very solid. And yes, we are now into stoppage time. Sanguinetti picks himself up. And I wonder if they could just snatch a lead. A vital time for them. Very well cleared there. As Lallis came back, he does some marvelous work in defense. Forward run by Paz, who I think was looking for a little playoff to himself as he went forward. And look how well this defense get back. Now the break. Harbour. Oh, that's a lovely ball inside. Beautifully picked up, though. All the way to pick that up, De Los Santos. That was a very good counter-attack by the Americans, by the way. Nice ball by out to Harbour and then touch forward. Good running. Sanguinetti. Still finding it difficult to get the opening. They are covering very well, the Americans. But there goes the halftime whistle. No scoring. And I'm quite sure the Americans will give a very special pat on the back to the goalkeeper, Brad Friedel, who certainly has excelled himself. He's only had one little fluff, and that was a high, straightforward ball. Other than that, he's had 3 lovely touches over the crossbar. And he's kept them in it. Having said that, even though the Uruguayans might well consider themselves to be a little bit unfortunate to be behind, not a sparkling performance by them. They've only played in little spurts, and that's probably not good enough. Mark you, it's their first game in the tournament. There's a long way to go. Not only looking at the opposition, but feeling themselves out. Peruvian referee leads them off. No scoring at halftime. And welcome back to Uruguay against the United States of America. Let me remind you, the score is nothing each. And if you've been watching our entire program and stayed with us at halftime and saw that rather scintillating display by Ecuador, by comparison, what we've had so far tonight has been rather dull. Indeed, I'm quite hoping that Uruguay open out a bit more. I'm disappointed in them. There's a great deal of tradition in this side with great players. They're able to lift them above the rut and the mundane, and they're in a rut and looking extremely mundane at the moment. I did say at the start that there were indications that a country, for example, like Colombia, are beginning to, in terms of football potential and skill and capability, probably take over from the likes of Uruguay. They're really struggling. You've got to remember that Uruguay are sending out from their country the biggest export of any other nation in South America, and that is saying something given the diaspora of players from that continent. They're all over the place. They're playing in Argentina, a lot of them. They're playing on the continent of Europe, of course. Herrera for Cagliari, Francescoli for Cagliari, Sosa for Inter. And with another 5 players in the squad playing in Argentina football, and Salagui, who plays, of course, for Torino in Italy. Not in the first team, I hasten to add, but with the squad. So they're finding it always very difficult to get a team together all at the one time to discipline them as they used to be in the past. And some people say, of course, that Luis Cubilla, the 53-year-old coach, didn't help his cause when he was a coach of Olympia, and that was a club side in Argentina. He railed against all the Uruguayan players who went abroad to earn a living, said he shouldn't be in the national team. So all the players abroad simply said when he became coach of the national team, well, we won't play for him. And now he's had to get down on his bended knees and try to get the release of the likes of Francescoli, Herrera, and Sosa. Pays you to really watch what you're saying with future bosses. Run through by Kobe Jones. Haven't seen the best of him yet. Tab Ramos. Nice little touch by Tab Ramos. Where's Kobe Jones? Oh, he left it. Intent on a little dummy there. Up it come Caligiuri. Laying the ball about well. Nice start by the States. Good run here. Kobe Jones with it. And again. Whipped in there by Tab Ramos. There's the header. And what a very good start indeed by the USA. And one wonders what Bora Milutinovic has been saying at halftime. Nice curling cross there. There was a deflection off the touch forward there by Kobe Jones, but the goalkeeper was behind it in any case. Now this, in fact, might help the Uruguayans. The game was becoming bogged down in midfield and now beginning to open out a little bit. And one hopes the Americans can keep this going. Promising start to the start of this second half. Run forward here by Pelletti. Pelletti with it. Looking for Salagui. Oh, there's a beautiful turn. Is that the opening goal? Your great save. Siboldi eventually getting it from Paz, who seemed to be really churning his way through that defense. First one side, then the other. Oops. Well, we got a little interval in that replay there. Well, Friedel has paid his way, has he not, in that USA goal tonight. Oh, this is more like it. You get the impression the organizers have come along and said, look, we'll pay you double if you pick up the pace of this game. For heaven's sake, get on with it. And in the opening 2 or 3 minutes, they certainly have. Well, I did say the United States at least are acknowledged for the way they compete. They're fit, they're athletic. Bora Milutinovic has welded them into a side that knows exactly what they're doing. They lack a lot of individual ball skills at times. A little bit unsophisticated in defense from time to time, as we saw in the recent tournament in the States with Brazil and Germany as their opposition in particular. Just every now and again, they forget their discipline, but a very good start in the second half. Slavico coming up behind Ostelozza. Looking out there to De Los Santos. Still no goals all the same. It's very tight. More effort now from Uruguay. De Los Santos coming forward, looks for the run on the far side, and it's a corner kick. Well, just to compare this opening 5 minutes with what has gone before in terms of pace and commitment. It's a difference between night and day. Right in the middle of that, Lallis, remember the header against England. He'll be anxious to get in there. Moran to take this. Way wide, there's a touch, oh, it's off the bar. How unlucky can you get? In fact, as that came across, looking into the sun, the goalkeeper blinded. I think that may have hit lower down than that. Let's have a look at this again. Yes, off the post, in fact. Well, 3 times he's had marvelous saves, so he deserves a little bit of luck, does he not? Now, where is he here? Oh, he's nowhere. That's the opening goal. Oh, dear, where was the marking as Ostelozza was given almost a gift? The Uruguayans a 1-up. Oh, no, that was dreadful. Now, I did say just a few seconds ago they can be a little bit unsophisticated in defense at times. Now watch this. He got away from his marker. And Harbour just stood and watched him. I think they'll get the knuckles wrapped, if not the shins kicked, by the coach, Bora Milutinovic, for that kind of goal. And Ostalotsa puts it away. I don't think he could believe it at first. Well, the directors do like headed goals in this country, seeing it again. And that again shows the appalling lack of marking. And you could see, I wonder if you just caught a glimpse of Harbour holding his head in his hands. And I think he realized he was a culprit there. Cannot let a defender come in like that and get it. Ostalotsa, the goal scorer. And now they're beginning to open them. That's a very good ball across again. And brave goalkeeping this time by Frido. And it's if that goal has opened a lot, with the Uruguayans having been behind a kind of mask, and suddenly there it is, it's opening up, getting more of their play now. Run here by Kobe Jones, gets the corner out of it. Well, we could have done a lot of this in the first half, but now they've got the measure of each other, and the Uruguayans perhaps deservedly up in terms of the efforts they've had to go. But a dreadful lapse there. This is taken by Tab Ramos. And again, the goalkeeper, Siboldi, slightly misjudging that. And up had come Koeman at the back, the man who's got the yellow card. He's got to watch himself. And he came for it. And I think from time to time, as the coach, Bora Milutinovic, will certainly emphasize with the American players, you've got to concentrate all the time. If you're playing at world level and you make the slightest misjudgment, especially getting slack, you're going to be punished by class teams. They've already had that from Riedle, the German, and now from the defender Ostalotsa coming up like that. Bit of determination about Tab Ramos, but he's brought down a free kick. Now they've really got to exploit these situations. Putting his foot in there was Da Silva. Jorge Da Silva got his first cap in '86 for his country. Plays for America. Cali from Colombia. And the goalkeeper, Robert Siboldi, wasn't tested with the first free kick in the first half. And they're looking to get the defensive wall back. At least Lapper is coming up. This might be another little Milutinovic ploy. Harbour stepping back. But it is. There's a deflection. Well, they need a little touch of luck now. Harbour almost getting that through now. Who deflected that? I think De Los Santos. And the crowd seem to be on their side now. As I said, the Americans, newcomers to the Copa America, and trailing by 1-0. Kobe Jones. Well, that's unusual for the Uruguayans. They favor the short passing game. Whoops. Well, goalkeepers either can do that well, or they make right lulus of themselves at times. The goalkeeping, the football playing goalkeepers have really been found out by this pass back amendment. I think Uruguay is going to be very difficult to beat now. They can close the door very efficiently, even though they're not really at full strength. Picked up there by Saraluigi. Saraluigi from Torino, as I pointed out. De Los Santos, way off it. But I think you'll, looking at this game, I think you'll now begin to see, I think it's quite manifest, that they're beginning to run much more freely, the Uruguayans. The passes are counting, and they look an infinitely refreshed team from that, obviously, halftime tactical talk. Bora Milutinovic, as charming a man as you'll find in world football. Had a long conversation with him, a couple of long conversations with him in the past 2 or 3 years. Everything happens to Boris during football, during the World Cup. In Mexico, the last World Cup, his daughter was born. He's married to a Mexican wife. And there is the rather substantial figure of the other one, Luis Cavilla. Rather large gentleman, 53 years of age. And a marvelous playing career with Nacional and Peñarol, winning absolutely everything. Winning the World Club Championship and the Copa Libertadores twice. Oh, it's laid off. Paz. That's a better tackle, but you can see the Americans are being inched further and further back. Sanchez. Nobody coming from the back. Lapper got rid of that one. Sanchez. And they're beginning to play some football. That's deep, a brilliant ball there. Paz almost picking that up. We saw him in the right wing just a minute ago. As I said, they're running much more freely, using the full width of the park to effect. I think we might be beginning to find yet again that enthusiasm and good organization can only take you so far at this level. That's what the Americans have. Played in again, an offside Paz. Referee, useful game. He's booked a couple of players. Let me recap. Koeman for the United States and Kanapkas for Uruguay. More substitutions looming. Better play, brought down very well by Santos. Seeing a lot more of the ball coming in from the left. Woodring. At far side clavicle, give it away, Santos. And brought down, free kick. Marcelo Saraluigi. Played forward, edge of the box. And too many defenders in there. Good run round the outside. De Los Santos goes a begging. And I wonder if the two central defenders there, with Koeman and Lapper right on top of that, whether they thought the goalkeeper was coming for it first. Well, that's the score with the first quarter of this second half gone. Referee actually feeling that ball there, testing it out. De Los Santos. Americans under sustained pressure now. Harbour. Tries to go wide with it. Gets a corner kick. And I would imagine that Koeman will come up for this again, along with Lalas. There they are, coming into the box. preparing for a substitution. Over it comes, the goalkeeper not doing at all well with that. And I think the referee yet again giving him protection. I think you recall that happening in the first half. Doesn't like the attention of the others around him. I think he's making a meal of it, personally. Tidy little ground, gives you an idea of it in the background as we look at the goalkeeper going down as if he's broken several ribs. But of course, as everybody knows, he hasn't. Americans preparing for the substitution. I think Woodring's going to come off. Joe Max Moore had come on previously. And now this is Bruce Murray. There we go. Seen relatively little of Clavijo in the second half. Kobe Jones almost picking it up, flattering to deceive tonight, I may say. Paz. I don't think he gets a free kick out of it. Or does he? Well, the referee at long last has blown. So Paz will take this himself. Away there by Lallis. A touch forward to Caligiuri. They've really got to break fast against this Uruguayan defense. Kobe Jones has dribbling abilities. He's kept him under wraps rather more than advisable for him tonight. Lovely little move there by Tab Ramos. And the final ball not good enough. Didn't match it. Wow, they've done that once. Why can't they do it more often? I think that surprised the Uruguayan defense that he had the actual temerity to try and take on two players. Well, quite clearly, he and Kobe Jones have that ability, but they haven't done enough running up the defense. Lapper trying to act the innocent, but he doesn't get away with it. It's going to be a free kick. I think the Uruguayans, perhaps as conscious as anybody else in this tournament of their heritage and of the doubts about whether they can keep it going or not, they really will be trying, and out comes Friedel again. Very good tackling on the Uruguayan defense. Have certainly got the measure of these quick breaks. Ostaloza, who scored that goal, of course, as I mentioned earlier on, scored for Nacional against PSV in the World Club Championship final in '88. So he has experience of football at the very highest level. And certainly at 6,000 feet above sea level, he's getting that tonight. Sanguinetti. A little bit high. Well, Paz was coming in from the far side. Well marked, though, by Clavijo. Clavijo, the American fullback, who overlapped effectively several times in the first half. Rather more sedate second. Just over 20 minutes gone, still 1-0. Of this second half, I should say. And back way downfield goes Kanapkis, the man with a yellow card. Try to break on the far side, Sanguinetti again. Neatly judged ball to Tab Ramos. Harbour. Look at all that space he was given. Deciding on the low one this time. That's good skill. Tab Ramos. Looking for the shot coming up. That looked like, or suspiciously like, a double block to me. Referee waving play on. Taken there by De Los Santos. De Los Santos from America, another of these players from Uruguay, part of the export, the very valuable and highly fancied export to other countries. America, of course, the North American club champions. Right underneath that, Kanapkas. Loud shouts for Fernando. That was Kanapkas going for it. Now De Los Santos. Well, we've had a pretty exhilarating first 20 minutes of this half. There's no question at all about that. It's now beginning to lapse again. I think we're seeing little signs of tiredness. The figure there of Clavijo. Oh, a lot of wrestling going on. Referee adamant about that. Free kick. Crowd don't like it. Still 1-0. This will be taken by De Los Santos. That's better control. Pushed out there by Ostalozza. That was Paletti trying to go forward on the right. Back it goes to Moran. And another free kick, and this is rather cumbersome tackling by the Americans at this stage. The referee a little anxious about the player there. Stand away from him now. Seems to be okay. It was Moran who had gone down, and this will be taken by Sanguinetti. Rather wasted one that time. I think the Uruguayans would be quite content, knowing their nature, to go away from here with the scoreline unchanged at 1-0. Sanguinetti breaking in, flicked away there by Galiguri had come in. Oh, there's a run forward, he's onside. Can he hold, keep possession? He's brought down now. Well, I think Da Silva, who went forward there, had a bit of a complaint. Now the break. Tab Ramos. Lapper. Oh, and the final ball has been so weak by the Americans so often. However, it is noticeable that they still have running in them. One or two players looking tired, but you could see clearly and distinctly that break there by Tab Ramos. Amply supported at the back. Into the 1-2, and I think they might get a free kick out of that, but to be perfectly honest with you, I think Agus, the sub, had played for that. Watch him, yeah, that little dive there. It's got to be a free kick. Got about 26 minutes gone now, still 1-0. The tall figure in the background. Chris Murray preparing to take this. Almost limbering up like an American football player for it. That's the high shot, and almost expectedly getting a corner kick out of it, and I think laying one of the Uruguayans out for full measure. I really took that right on his head, and I think they're anxious about him. Watch it. He really hit this in hard. One of the Americans getting that hard. And the Uruguayans a little bit anxious here, but I think he'll be all right. Well, these players have got great experience, some of them. There's no question at all about that. I said that De Los Santos has already played in Mexican football and with the North American club champions. Paletti plays in Argentina football. This is it again. Oh. Almost turned them white. Jorge da Silva, oh, they're taking him off now. And Milutinovic is out. I think he may change his formation on the back of this. Well, it looks to me like Moran who's gone down. I think he's going to have a sore head for a couple of days. And of course, he might not be used to taking a knock at this altitude. And on comes Eba Moas, number 14. Almost into the last quarter of the game. Run forward there by Paletti. Still only one goal in it. And you just imagine, what have the Americans got left in them to save this match? We had an absolutely scintillating first 15 minutes of the second half, and now the game has gradually declined since then. Chased away across there by Bruce Murray, the man who fired in that amazing shot. And I think it was just catching the Uruguayan player on the side of the head that was the unbalancing thing, to say the least. And now I make it by my watch just about 15 minutes remaining. That gives you the indication of the substitution there. I don't think it'll change the tactics all that much. Moas, very much a utility player. Normally plays in midfield, but he can be a central defender as well. 24 years of age. That's a neat layoff. Can he hold on to it, though? And outnumbered, and Americans coming back in packs. They really get back well on the counter-attack, but I think it's a marking in the penalty area that rather lets them down at times, as we've seen recently in the American tournament, as well as tonight with that goal by Ostilotza. Well, the Uruguayan just for a second weren't sure how to clear that. Well, and out came the American goalkeeper, Bud Friedel, who's a bit of a character. Going to be a throw to the Americans, and I think they're now more and more of the players. The front runners seem to be very fresh, but I think the midfield runners, the altitude and the pace has taken its toll now. Sanguinetti in with it, and again the goalkeeper. Second or third effort man that he is, still keeps it out. He does that so often. His first touch looks like a fumble, but he always seems to get there again. Well, he didn't try to lay it back, just fired it across goal. You can see what I mean. He's done that several times. Still 1-0. Forward run there by Kanapkis, caught in possession though. De Los Santos. And 2 off on the move, breaking down for Uruguay, just about there. Played forward by Lalas. And now trying to strike the likes of Harbour and Kobe Jones with the long through balls. Black, Murray. Well, that was a rather strange header back there, was it not, from Koeman in a very good position. Sent it almost 20 yards further back away from goal. Well, as I said during the very first game that we did, every team with a possible chance of going further in this tournament has got to be very careful about conserving their energy. They've got to ration things out. So often we see in World Cup games a team starting off very well, sparkling a lot, going for it all the way, and then suddenly running out of steam. Now this will be particularly trying in this tournament given the climatic conditions, especially altitude. And time running out on the United States. I think the Uruguayans know it. They'll just be trying to break up the flow of play like this from time to time. Oh, the grass is very soft down there. The turf is very soft and loose. Sandy kind of soil. You saw it there with that flurry of dust coming up. It's Lapper to take it. That's a better ball. Tab Ramos. Like the look of him in this second half. Nice turn of pace. Good control. Tab Ramos again. Neat little ball. Harbour with it. Tries to put it back. Harbour with a shot. Ooh, the crossbar. So unlucky. Marvelous effort by the big fellow. Just got that. I think he deceived everybody. They thought he was going to lay it back. And just about 6 inches too much in that. Harbour plays down in rather steamy climes, especially in the summer with Tampa Bay. Long associated, of course, with Rodney Marsh. He used to do something similar himself, did he not? Except that more often than not, he scored. Running across to cut that off, the player from Italy, Saraguri. The most impressive player in the second half, and that is exactly inappropriate what a commentator will do, to build a player up and he gives the ball away like that. That, of course, was Tab Ramos. Well, that's a better movement. How many times now is that? I think that's about half a dozen times we've seen that ball played diagonally away from the right to either De Silva or Paz to run onto. Not exactly the last throw of the dice, I think, just to make sure Hugo Guerra is about to come on. So we'll have Guerra and Paz work that one out. War and Peace now about to play together. Well, the player just about to come on. Guerra comes from, again, Argentinian football, Gimnasia Erguisma. And he's noted for a goal he scored against Brazil last October in Brazil to beat the home side 2-1. So the Brazilians playing in the same tournament will have his name written large in a book. Taken there by Pelletti. Going to be a free kick. And so little time left for the USA now. The cross, and the big men were up there in an awful tangle all the same. Koeman getting right in the way of Murray. There he is. Likes to come forward for all these set pieces. Well, not a very distinguished kick out by the goalkeeper. I must say, Simone hasn't done that all that cleanly tonight. Little spot forward, and I think brilliantly won there. Lala's coming back, very good defender. Solid sort of player, lacking a little bit of skill and control of the ball all the same. Referee has kept a firm grip in this game. 2 bookings. And the Uruguayans, who have a rather tempestuous nature, as we all know from the history of the game, look to have been in control of themselves. Unlike one or two of the players in the previous game, Venezuelans looking quite nasty at times. Corner kick has been taken by Da Silva. Neatly away there as Caligiuri got it. Again trying to find him a way down this left wing. Offside. Well, the goalkeeper, I think, like all goalkeepers now, liking to come out of the penalty area, send that way downfield. I think probably the best chance now is to get these 2 little men up front, Kobe Jones and Tab Ramos, to run wide and sweep it across for the likes of Harbour coming up. They've been pushing Koeman forward. This will be a very tough group for the Americans, given the very good start by the host nation. Top two teams go through in the group, of course. And offside against Harbour. The United States have played a lot of friendly matches, 16 in the last year, and only won twice, and of course, one of these against England. And now another defeat looming. This is the man I was talking about, Coby Jones. Not a bad ball, that. The two players most mobile. Now can he cut it back? Looking right down. No, it's not a very effective ball. Coby Jones back again. Jones. Crowd going with them. Game coming to an end. Can they save it? And the goalkeeper this time does take it cleanly. Well, I did single out these players, Coby Jones and Tab Ramos. They have really mattered in the second half. A lot of motoring on either side of the penalty area, down towards it. This is one of them, Coby Jones. Coming up to give support, Clavijo. Held on to that rather well. That's good play by the Americans, who just overstruck. They built that up rather well. Linesman, though, right on the spot. Yes, I think the Uruguayans will settle for the scoreline. Not one of their most illustrious performances, but perfectly adequate, I suppose. Coby Jones. You see he was running out of support. There's a very good dummy. That's an excellent shot. Ooh, brilliantly saved. So almost at the death, the Americans are fighting to the end. And the shot there by Alexei Lalas. Good play by the States. Neat dummy. And Lalas with the shot. And the goalkeeper might have been slightly blinded to start off with. And the crowd rising to them. They're taken there by Tab Ramos himself. Back it comes, and oh, that's what the Uruguayans wanted, that poor effort at goal. And you can see the people in the seat behind there all rising to that. So little time left. All eyes on the referee. 1-0, but a very valiant effort by the Americans. Certainly worthy of a lot of praise in the game. They're still putting the pressure on. Arba got a touch to that. Well, I would think for courage and tenacity, they deserve an equalizer out of this. Watch Harbour coming up. Final touch, a very good leap. And the goalkeeper slightly fortunate. If that had been angled the right way, it was going in. I think that'll be a free kick. Yes, it is. There we are. We're into stoppage time. And the Uruguayans, who would you have believed if they had told you right at the start that Uruguay would have been hanging on by the fingernails? And I think the Americans believe they're trying to waste some time now, or at least try to spoil. And a free kick it is. The Silva, I think it is, got the yellow card. He just held it in the air and waved it. There it goes, high into the box and way beyond everybody else. Just touch back. Suddenly from the outside there, Kobe Jones appeared. Up towards Harbour. Now the breakaway. And this is what they're so very good at, but look at the pace of the Americans. They do that well, and that surely was a shove. Great pace by Tab Ramos coming back. Well into stoppage time now. And as I thought they were pushing Koeman forward, leaving themselves slightly exposed at the back, they may suffer for it. Well, that's a cute little ball. Is it onside? I think no. Offside. They had drawn Koeman out of the center of defense and pushed him forward, as I imagine. Sanguinetti, by the way, got that yellow card. Just verification of it. As I said, the referee just hung it in the air. Good move by the Uruguayans, but called offside. And I now make it almost 3 minutes into stoppage time. And the referee really doesn't want the play to stop all that much. Almost as if he's pleading for mercy down there. And he's certainly taking time. But referees always have to be very careful about head knocks. And I think he's indicating to take him off the field. And of course, I think he's a little bit reluctant to go off. And pointing away across. I think the corner kick given. And look how quickly he's recovered. And they'll just keep it in the corner. Look at this. Little professional act. They're going to take it again. And they want just to keep it there. The Americans winning that throw. But it's a way down at their end. That's precisely what the Uruguayans had planned for. They just want to waste time now. Maybe snatch another one. They wouldn't deserve it now. But there goes the final whistle. The Peruvian referee, Alberto Tejada, drawing a curtain on the proceedings. Not the most distinguished performance by either side. Uruguay getting that goal from a dreadful defensive lapse. And the goal scorer, of course, the man who came up to take that, Ostalotza, the man who had scored that goal for Nacional against PSV, another very significant goal back in 1988. And now getting up there to give Uruguay a promising start, I would say no more than that. The Americans, in the end, showing how courageous they are, very tenacious. They never give up. They've got good team spirit. And that comes from being in the training camp all the time, Mission Viejo in California. And from all of that, the coach, Bora Milutinovic, has got good team spirit, reasonable organization. They're a little bit naive yet, but they're coming on. And they may do a little damage in this tournament. But the biggest stride forward, certainly by Uruguay, winning finally by 1-0.